Okay. Good night, everybody. Or I should say good evening, everybody. It's not night yet. This is a meeting of the City Council Finance Committee, Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, at 6:30 p.m. And the counselors on the committee are Counselor Ocasio, Counselor Givner, myself, Counselor Devine as chair, Counselor Sullivan, and Counselor Jordan. And we have we're very honored to have the new police chief, Brian Keenan, in tonight, and with Sergeant Zerhide. So we're going to have a couple of things to take up for the police department. We also have Matt from the DPW, who will be talking about the War Memorial Building and the Senior Center. So I'm not sure what you'd like to do, what the pleasure of the committee is. We can either take the police chief up first or take up the DPW.
Oh, want to give the new chief, give him first, just
Yeah.
to be nice? You
Yes,
don't always
if-
get this perk.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Matt, we're going to do that. We'll make a motion to take out of order.
Suspend the rules, go to item 5, I believe?
4, 5, and 6
Oh,
are
4,
police.
5, and 6,
Yeah.
very good.
Okay, and Chief and Sergeant, you're welcome to come in here and sit at any of those desks. And there's microphones in front of it. And just hit the button so the light will turn green. And there is just one reference that I would like to make. One of our rules is that no member in debate shall make any reference to another member of the general public or city employee, but in respectful terms. So I would like to read that. All right, so the first order in the police department is item number 4, and it's filed by myself, ordered that there be and hereby appropriated by transfer in fiscal year 2025, $10,500 as follows. From patrolman, $10,500 to map/data maintenance, $10,500. Make a motion that we take it off the table for discussion.
moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, whichever one you'd like to talk about it.
Thank you, Counselor. We're looking to transfer $10,500 from patrolman and data maintenance to cover pending invoices for technology. The challenge with the item was underfunded. The request was $270. We received $200,000. And the additional funds required to cover expenses like the Mark 43 payment for the new record management system that we have, which consumed half of the IT budget.
Okay. And did you say you had a question? No. Questions?
Nope.
This can't be this easy for him.
Motion to approve.
All those in favor? Aye. There you go, Chief. See, it's probably not going to be like that all the time, but this is good.
We'll take our wins, Counselor.
That's
We'll
right.
take our wins.
And the next item, I'd like to hear a motion to take up item number 5
So
for
moved.
discussion. And it's ordered by Devine, ordered that in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the FY25 Shannon Community Safety Initiative grant for $606,446.54, 25% in-kind match grant, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grant. So I move that we take it off the table.
So moved.
And Chief or Sergeant, whoever would like to talk about this, we've got it, you should have it in front of your packets, my committee. And if you could, if I remember correctly, who is Shannon? Because I remember years ago who that was, but I think everybody should know. If you do.
You know who it is? You know who he is?
No.
James Shannon, he was
Yep.
a senator, real good guy, very supportive of police and public safety initiatives, and legendary. His son went on to be a correctional officer and a police officer somewhere as well.
Yeah. I remember him
Jim, yeah, he was a nice guy.
back in my day. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. All right, what can you tell us about this grant?
Yes. So this grant, we do usually receive this yearly. This year we did receive an increase. It increased to $606,446. This grant will run until December 31st of 2025. There is a 25% match, like you guys are all well aware of, but it is an in-kind match, and it is paid by all of our partners. The city and the police department does not pay any of that match.
Okay.
That match is tracked in our quarterly reports, so we keep track of it and aware of it. HPD has been allocated approximately 200,000 out of that 600,000, and that will go towards gang suppression activities, hotspot patrols, targeting any violence that is occurring in the city. We'll also be doing community walking beats throughout the city. And this year, included in the Shannon grant, was a portion of funds for walking beats specifically in the Tefford Apartments, Churchill Apartments, Bowdoin Village, and Lyman Terrace Apartments. So that will consist of 2 officers having community meetings, walking around and engaging the public in a proactive manner. We do partner with the Boys and Girls Club in Holyoke and in Chicopee. Holyoke Safe Neighborhoods Initiative, they have their basketball league and monthly community meetings that are held throughout the city. That's the gist of that grant. If anyone has any questions.
The only question I would have, Sergeant, is can you describe the 25% in-kind match again?
Yes, so our partners pay, all of our partners receive a portion of this grant.
The partners being other cities and towns?
No,
who?
not other cities and towns, but like the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club, the
Okay.
Chicopee Boys and Girls Club,
Okay,
the Sheriff's Department, whatever funds they receive, they do match those funds by 25%.
oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I had just one.
Yeah?
Do you know if the basketball program, do they operate that during the winter too? Because one of the things I was kind of hoping for, if we could steer it, was getting the winter gym program or those type of winter activities available for the kids. Because, you know, some communities, i.e. Springfield, have like the South End Community Center. They have some different things that they have going on. You know, when you have the summer, you got the basketball courts, you got the parks. In the winter, there isn't a lot for the kids unless you can afford either the boys club or the YMCA type memberships. And if they could keep in mind some more of those type of programs for the winters and maybe with the schools, you know, the winter gym program was great. That would be a nice use of the fund. So I heard about the basketball league. If that's something, I don't know if you could carry that message back. That would be appreciated by a lot of families.
Absolutely. And currently he does run 2 4-month sessions, but I'm sure that we can allocate some of this funding and rearrange some items to where we can carry it through into the winter all the way up till December and then continue in January on the next grant.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd also like to welcome City Council President Tessa Murphy Ramboletti and Kelly Curran, the Head of Personnel, and also Attorney Mike Bissonette is also online. Counselor Sullivan, you had a question?
Yeah, so how much is specifically going to the boys' club?
I
The
can
partners?
I can print out the budget and get it to you. I just don't have that number for what they're receiving today.
Okay, so out of the 600,000, 200,000 is going to gang suppression, if I understand it, and then the other 400,000 roughly is going to other groups.
Correct. And,
Partners.
those are our main partners, but we do have other ones that are on our list. I can send over the council the entire breakdown of the budget.
Yeah, if you can give it to
Yeah.
Jeffrey, our administrative assistant, he can get it out to us for Tuesday.
It may be in those packets if he included it.
No, the reason I'm asking is, then does a percentage of what goes, for example, to the boys' club go back to the police department for administering that section of that portion of the grant?
The grant does have an administrative portion of 10% that the police department does receive as well.
All right. So my point being, if, say, I think in the past there was as much as 300,000 would go to the boys' club, and 10%, so that would be 30,000 going back to administer what the boys' club does.
No, we cap it at about 4,000, and so they can maximize the funding and use for the kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to be.
Yes, the administrative portion on that is 4,000 capped, so we can allocate the funds for because we do have the gang suppression, the walking beats, and we want to maximize the efforts for the community and children. So we keep it at 4,000, and the rest goes towards our partners.
Right. Okay, that's what I wanted to be clear on with it. 10% sounded like a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's up to 10%, but we only allocate 4,000 for the administrative portion.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Can I hear a motion that we accept the grant?
Yep, motion to approve.
All those in favor? Aye. Great. Okay, moving right along to item number 6 is, item number 6, ordered by Divine, that in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the SFY 2005 Commonwealth Project Safe Neighborhoods Initiative Grant, $30,000, no match. Can I hear a motion to take it off the table for discussion?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Go ahead if you wanted to say anything, or if anybody's got any questions.
So, Council number 6, the Project Safe Neighborhood grant is $30,000. And that's a grant for the Holyoke Police Department to work in conjunction with the Mass State Police on crime suppression items, gangs, drugs, prostitution, quality of life stuff, and it has to be used by June 28th, 2025.
June 28th, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, questions?
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And these will come up on
Good seeing you.
Tuesday. You don't need to be here, but if you feel like watching it, it'll be on Channel 15. Okay, and thank you and welcome.
Here. Yep.
Thank you, you too. Okay, and we'll go back to item number 1. Matt, thank you very much for waiting. Appreciate it. Okay, so item number 1 is order Divine, order that there be and hereby appropriated by transfer in the year 2025, $30,000 as follows: capital stabilization, $30,000, and to the War Memorial Repair and Maintenance Building, $30,000. That was tabled on 12/23/24 because we needed more information. So I will open it up to questions.
Sure. Does he want to?
Yeah, if you want to come in, or the microphone, whatever's easier for you. Matt, what's your last name again? Peterson. Okay.
What's your role at the War Memorial?
I'm the DPW building maintenance supervisor.
Oh, okay. Did you take over for Sean?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're the new Sean, but for
There was
DPW.
a one-day wonder in between Sean and Yes.
All right. Well, welcome.
Questions?
Shall we begin?
Yes, please.
All right. Mike can help me here, Counselor Sullivan too. But a couple of our questions that we had for you was, we saw the price tag of $30,000, no problem. Okay. Some of the elements of this were no issue. Obviously, it looked like the bill to actually fix the pipes themselves was about $15,000.
In that neighborhood. That's an estimate. So it was not a real simple.
Can we use the microphone, please? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. You make sure you got the green button on and you're speaking into the microphone. Just push on.
Okay, there you are.
There you go.
Yeah, and just talk into the microphone.
Okay.
Okay, so my question was, 30,000's the ask. 15 of it was to fix the actual steam pipes themselves. And then, according to what we were seeing, there was about approximately a 10,000 ask to quote-unquote waterproof the pit. And I guess our question on that piece of it was, why do we have to spend 10,000 to waterproof the elevator pit when it isn't an issue of groundwater or something from underneath? But apparently it was determined that the last break put water into the elevator pit. And so the question is, if we fix the pipes, then why do we have to spend 10,000 waterproofing an elevator pit that shouldn't need waterproofing?
My understanding is that there is actually groundwater getting into that pit.
Okay, well, that's not information that we've received, so please describe, because is that in the memo here, or there's somebody from a Jan Hendricks?
So the elevator pit is, the steam condensate pipe leak is in kind of the opposite corner of the building from the elevator
Okay.
pit. So there could always be some steam condensate that's getting underneath the basement floor and finding its way to the elevator pit. And a lot of this was before I took on this role, was figured out and determined before that. But I believe that the elevator pit was taking on water before this leak became an issue.
Okay.
Maybe there was a previous pipe break that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think much, if any, of the water from the steam condensate pipe is making its way to the elevator pit. I think that is groundwater getting in.
Interesting. Okay. So that's good. This is why that's why we table things, because we're getting more information here.
And that, I'm not 100% sure of that either. That's my understanding.
Okay.
But I am, to some extent, I'm trusting my predecessor and his
Sure.
predecessor that it was figured out appropriately in the past, and that's why they got the quotation on doing the waterproofing.
Okay, and then there was approximately $3,000 or $4,000 request from A1 Foundation crack repair. Do you want to describe what that's all about?
I believe that is for,
Some polymer resin?
yes, polymer,
Yep.
using polymer sealants
Yes, it is.
for sealing up the elevator. Maybe other areas of the foundation too, because there are other areas of the foundation that do receive groundwater when the groundwater level is high. Not far from where the the condensate pipe leak is.
Okay,
There's an area that, even when the heat is off, has a little dribble of water coming in, and it's right by the alley. So I think that's all for sort of foundation sealing, including sealing of the concrete of the elevator shaft, the pit, so to speak, down at the bottom of the shaft.
okay. So really two unrelated things, actually. One is the busted pipes.
Yes.
Fix those for 15,
Yes.
and then about another 15 to do you're saying you're taking water on this elevator, and I know we recently fixed the elevator
Yes.
itself.
Yes, and forgive me for talking over, I didn't mean to. Yes, the elevator itself was recently fixed, and there's a concern that if the pit is allowed to have water in
Of
it
course.
too frequently, it's going to damage those new components. And if you look at the quote, there's sealing of the concrete itself, but there's also sealing around the hydraulic cylinder for the elevator to keep water out of all the working parts of the elevator.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, so my bigger concern, if the crack is in the foundation itself, right, and it's groundwater that's getting in there, we have a much bigger problem going on. And just sealing it isn't gonna help if we have a crack in the foundation. And
Oh, good.
and this quote I'm looking at is talking about sealing a space between the floor, where is it here? It said between the floor and the pit. I can't find it right now. But if the crack itself is in the foundation, like I said, we have a much bigger problem going on, and just sealing it isn't going to help. From my experience, most of those you have to excavate on the outside of the building, and
And put in trench drains.
yeah,
It could come to that, but I think when you have to excavate and put in a footing drain and all the crushed stone and mechanisms to bring the water down to the footing drain, that's usually a bigger water infiltration problem.
I totally agree with you. Now, usually when you see this kind of stuff, it's in an area that has some fields, some drainage problems coming off the building itself. In this case, what I would be very suspicious of is something else going on underground near the building, either with a water line or with a sewer line, that could cause a problem like this. And because you're not going to get a lot of groundwater penetration around the building there. And that's my fear, is that it's coming from something much bigger than that. Most of the there's very little grass area
Yeah.
around the building, and most of it's paved. So for groundwater penetration there, that's my fear, is we've got something else going on underground there, and simply sealing a crack is not going to do it.
Well, you're right. That's not impossible. It's certainly a possibility that there is. It seems to change in volume with weather. So that seems somewhat indicative that it's essentially groundwater. Of course, it could be a storm drain pipe. That's obviously going to get a lot more water in it on a rainy day. So you're correct. It could have something to do with a stormwater drain pipe. I think if it was a sanitary sewer pipe, there'd be an odor included with this water. Although, I mean, it's filtering through the ground, so maybe most of that would come out. It's not impossible that it does have some other cause other than basic groundwater. One of the things with the pavement, so the spot that I think of that has the water coming in near the steam condensate pipe, but that takes on water even when the heat isn't running. That's a spot where the alley is almost right up against the building. And an alley that has been driven over for 100 years, it's all compacted. It doesn't absorb water the way natural soil does. Like the area that's grass around the building, that will absorb more rainwater. It'll make its way through. So I think it's possible that the rainwater from the alley is kind of diverting it up against the building, and that from there it's running down the foundation wall and finding its way in. But you're correct that it could turn out that there is a deeper difficulty. But I think sealing up as a start may cure the problem by itself. If that doesn't cure the problem, then the fix for trenching all the way around the War Memorial Building, or trenching around a significant part of it, I think that will end up being a fairly large expenditure in comparison to this. So I think this is probably a good idea to try first.
Yeah, in the end, I'm going to be in favor of that. The other thing I'd suggest, the water that's coming into the basement, right, into the pit, right, would just to be do a simple analysis of the water. For example, if it was a leaky main, right, there'd be chlorine in it.
Sure.
All right. If it was sewage, there'd be
something.
fecal matter or there'd be traces. If it was simply rainwater or steam condensate, it'd point us in the right direction very, very cheaply. So,
Yeah, that can certainly be arranged. I'm sure I can find a company that can analyze it and tell us what kind of water it is.
probably the water department could do it.
Could be. Yeah, I can find out.
They have a lab.
Do they? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, I'll find out.
So I'm done.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or anything? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, and let's see, the next one we have, is Betty your mother by any chance?
Is
Betty,
who?
is Betty your mother?
She detests that nickname, but yes, Elizabeth is my mom.
Elizabeth, we grew up together in Churchill.
Yeah.
You look like her, that's why I thought. Okay, so item number 2, order that there be and hereby appropriated by transfer fiscal year 2025, $15,000 and no dollars for a heavy motor equipment operator to senior center, $15,000. Motion to take it off the table for discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
So the big piece there is repairing and restoring illumination of the grounds, primarily the parking lot. The parking lot lights are are not doing well. We've got that quote from the city's on-call electrician to replace drivers, it's a transformer. In a fluorescent light, we would call it a ballast. In LED lights, we call it a driver, but they're all transformers. And that is what converts the regular 115 volt alternating current to what the LEDs need. And it's thought that that will get almost all, or maybe hopefully all, of the parking lot lights functioning. Right now, a few are functioning as they should be, a few are dim, one or two are flickering, and a bunch don't light up at all.
Questions? Counselor Sullivan and
I'm not
Counselor Givner. And also, just want to welcome Counselor Israel Rivera here, and Russell, I believe, is here for the contracts.
So my question, I don't know if this is for you, Matt, or someone else, but the transfer is coming from HMEO. Was that put forward by the DPW director?
Ooh, I don't know for sure.
I'm assuming that's heavy motor equipment operator.
Yes.
Thanks to Counselor Givner, let me know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm fine. We've got,
Go ahead.
I believe, 5 openings there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that, it's not in buildings, so I don't.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Counselor Givner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious, are the lights at the senior center not handled by HG&E?
They are not.
Oh,
So the Hoyok Gas and Electric deals with lights that are powered directly off of power lines. These are powered by power from inside of the senior center, so it is not something they take care of. I'm sure there's people there who could figure it out, but because it's not powered off of a power line, it's supposed to be maintained and repaired by license holding electricians as opposed to electrical workers, which are what electrical linesmen are.
gotcha. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Do we
Motion to
have a
approve.
motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Matt, and say hi to Elizabeth for me.
I will.
And
Thank you too.
Matt,
Okay.
was Herb Peterson your grandfather then?
Yes, I have an uncle, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather named Herbert.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Roughly when would the Herb you speak of have been born?
No idea. He was our cub master and scout master at First Presby
That's
Church.
Grandpa Herbert, who died in 1969, yep.
Yeah,
Small
great guy,
world.
great guy.
Small world. Thank you very much, Matt.
My pleasure, thank you.
Okay.
Let me shut this off?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go on to
Number 3,
number 3.
Let's take up item 3.
so moved.
This, motion to take up item 3, I'll read it, but I'm not sure who's supposed to be here for this. Ordered that in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of Mass Department of Public Health / Partners for a Healthier Community Capacity, Build Racial Equity, $10,000, no match. Move we take it off the table for discussion.
So moved.
Is somebody here for this? Kelly, are you? Kelly Curran?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep,
thank
that would be- Hi, good evening. Happy New Year. Is it too late to say Happy New Year?
No,
It's flying
never,
by.
never.
I feel like we're halfway through the year already, so much
Yeah.
stuff has been happening. Yeah, so this is a grant by, we were awarded it last year. I'm just wrapping up the last, pieces for the last one, and I'll submit a report to the committee, but they were generous enough to offer it to us again this year. We are doing cultural humility training, which a lot of employees have taken advantage of in the winter, in the fall, and now there's a winter opportunity online. The Women of Color Health Equity Collective is hosting it, they're facilitating it. They're gonna also offer it to fire and police and the DPW in person. because they don't have the resources to take it online, so they're going to work directly with those departments to schedule it. But right now, we have online classes. And the grant is basically to use it for whatever we need to use it for. Last year, I had wanted to use it for gift cards to increase participation in these kind of trainings and events, but the procurement got funky, so we decided to go another way with it, and I used it a lot for when we had department head meetings. We had some equity work during the department head meetings, so we ordered food and stuff. We ordered T-shirts. We have books. And I like to do more book studies too after everyone does cultural humility training.
Questions? Counselor Jordan?
Do we get a copy of the curriculum? What's cultural humility training?
I could give you a copy. Yeah, it's basically, I'm not gonna be as eloquent as a facilitator, but it's basically to understand other people's culture and background. And so instead of like, sometimes anti-racist curriculum it tries to teach a certain way. The cultural humility is to learn more about your background and how it shows up in work and interactions with people of different cultures, whether it's, a different race or a different town. Culture could be a whole bunch of different things besides race.
Is there anybody that reviews these to make sure it's, some of these things have been considered extremely controversial.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I hope the mayor reviews these curriculums, and I don't know if these are voluntary, because I don't want this to turn, is this something America hating or, one of those type of deals where, it's evil white person type of training or, one of those things. So I just hope somebody is screening these things so that they're culturally sensitive to everyone.
Absolutely. So we had the departments the department heads participate first before any other groups participated, and then we asked for their feedback, and we got great feedback.
Okay, and if there's any concerns that employees have, they can take those to you or the mayor if there's concerns, or
absolutely.
There's opt-out provisions.
It's very light. It's
okay.
Again, it's very light.
Because it's important to learn about every other people and sensitivities, and that is no problem. I just worry how well are these things being screened by leadership, before we throw people in a room and say, listen to somebody's take on the world, Yeah, no,
that's why we had the department heads participate first to get their feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Israel Rivera, you have your hand up?
Yes, I kind of have a little bit of a different take on it, just because it's not necessarily around how people feel or how they perview the world. It's kind of like a historical background and how history has impacted different cultures and communities over time, and how certain systems may have created unintended quote-unquote consequences where certain people may have advantages that others don't have, right? It kind of sucks that we down the language, right, in a sense, because you don't want people to feel uncomfortable. But when they're working with the people in the public, and we're working with people that we're supposed to be servicing, there are people that feel uncomfortable with how they receive their service. And no one's really kind of rectifying that circumstance. And it sounds like right now we have a situation where we have a grant where it can kind of at least minimally educate some of our employees in a way where we can provide services that are holistic to everyone in the community. Again, I'm with that 110%. I think I just kind of wanted to speak on that because it felt like it was being dumbed down a little bit. And it felt like we're trying to avoid addressing equity at a level of where it's supposed to be intended to be addressed. And that's not, I don't necessarily think that's a position where a lot of us stand on here in the community of Holyoke. Yes, we want everyone to be highlighted and everyone to understand everyone else's cultures. But not everyone had the same advantages and the same opportunities throughout the system that we have of today. And it's important to kind of have that historical context. And it's important to make sure that when we're servicing our community, that we're doing that from that place. Just kind of wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions?
Counselor Devine, I pulled up the description, so I just want to read it so everyone knows exactly what it is, not going off my memory after an 8-hour day, if you don't mind.
You're doing good.
Okay, I'm going to read it to you all. So, facilitated by Women of Color Health Equity Collective, cultural humility is a philosophy that empowers individuals to effectively engage in interpersonal relationships that are dynamically diverse and mutually respectful. Unlike cultural competence, cultural humility is a lifelong and ongoing process of self-reflection and self-critique in which individuals expand their capacity for learning, listening, and understanding, regardless of their experiences with cultures other than their own. Incorporating cultural humility as part of one's lifestyle empowers the individual to recognize and redress power imbalances that exist within their immediate social and organizational structures. The collective has adopted a lifestyle of cultural humility as one of its basic tenets. The overview of training, there's 6 different topics. It's basic understanding of cultural humility, cultural humility, competence versus humility, 4 tenets of cultural humility, implicit bias and affinity bias, and practice of tenets. So it's about 6 hours, and the idea is that you're never an expert at, different cultures, but that you're always learning and looking inside. And Councilor Rivera, I do agree that, there is other training that could be provided, but we think this is the first step to, getting everyone together and learning more about themselves and how their bias might be going. People don't know they have implicit bias.
Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, so the fact that it's coming from the Mass Department of Public Health and it's not coming from a private or a nonprofit or one of these other foundations or well-funded beneficiaries makes me a lot more comfortable with it. I'm in favor of moving forward, accepting this grant. The only thing I'd like to see is a copy of the curriculum, given to us as a communication.
We'll do.
Yes, if you could give that to Jeffrey, he'll make sure that we get it Tuesday for our regular city council meeting.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. And again, I'm counting on the mayor to having been, he's the leader, right, day to day. He should be screening and approving these materials. So I'm counting on him having reviewed it, that it's reasonable. So as long as that he approves it, I would feel more comfortable. So I'll vote to approve it.
So is there a motion to approve the grant?
Yes.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Kelly, very much for your work, and just get us that information, that'll be great.
Thank you.
Okay, now if we're going to take up, if my agenda, I'm thinking of taking up items 7, 8, and 9 at the same time. They were all tabled on January 7th, 2024. Is that all right?
You mean they were sent back to us?
I'm sorry, yeah, referred back. Okay,
sure.
so that would be the first one, item number 7. It was for $48,000, and there's a variety of different positions that we've already
Yeah, we've
read into the
discussed all
record.
this at length.
And item 8 is the settlement agreement by and between the City of Holyoke and the Holyoke Professional Supervisors Association. And item 9 is the red line settlement agreement by and between the City of Holyoke and the Holyoke Professional Supervisors Association. I'd like a motion to take these 3 off the table at the same time.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Russell, you're here for this, correct?
I am.
Okay. Who has questions for Russell?
I know myself and perhaps two other members of this committee did not ask for this to come back. I guess somebody wanted to have it come back. The council already voted. They asked it to come back. I don't have any more questions. I'm all set.
I think it's possible that there was some confusion in the vote between, 3-2 denied or whatever, and I think that's why I was one of the ones that wanted to refer it back and to see if anybody had any other questions. I certainly think that this has been a contract that apparently has taken several years to negotiate, and having done this type of thing before, the mayor, I'm sure, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure he had a certain amount of money that he was able to go through and not anything further. And my understanding is that this did take some time, and it was negotiated. It was ratified by the, I'm going to say union because it's now a union. So my suggestion would be, since we've talked about it, is just to have a recommendation to send it back to the full city council without a recommendation. And if people have questions Tuesday, I'm sure Councilor Ball will be available. So do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I was just gonna, my vote, the vote will be what the vote's gonna be. Whether it's recommendation to deny 3-2, the council's gonna vote the same. I'm not sure why a recommendation one way or the other makes a difference, but
Well, I think because it gets it out of the finance committee, brings it to the full city council.
well, either way,
Yeah.
it comes out though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? We voted it out 3-2, just that we recommended it be denied.
And then it came back to the finance committee, and the motion on the floor is that we don't take we just send it back without a recommendation and let the full city council do what they should do, whether they vote it up or they vote it down. But it is a contract that's been ratified. We certainly have ratified, we've voted on police contracts without any questions whatsoever. We may have some questions, but we don't send it back. We don't deny it. I certainly don't remember in my years as a counselor that we have denied the fire department. I don't know if we've ever denied the DPW, but for some reason, some people are denying this particular unit. So that's why I think it's good to just bring it back to the full council, let everybody have their say, and whether it's up or down, and then if it's up, it's up. If it's down, then they go back to the table, apparently. Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, I have no problem sending it back to the full council, but I want to have my recommendation made, and my recommendation is still to deny it.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can do that on Tuesday. You can vote no.
Well, we can do that right now. Patty, my point is, everything that you just eloquently said is exactly what the council did at the last meeting. We all had our say. We took a vote. Then the majority didn't like the result, so they reconsidered it and sent it back here. Now, if we send it all back and it gets voted down again, which is highly likely, are we going to reconsider it again? And then it never comes to an end? The votes are what the votes are. And the only thing I can say is, as far as I'm concerned, I think us denying it helps the mayor, because he can only approve what we give him the money to approve. So he can go back to the table and say, I tried for this, they turned it down, we've got to work it through some more. So I agree with Counselor Sullivan. My vote would be that we send it back, definitely, all three items, but we're the 3-2 to deny it.
Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, and just to be clear for the city employees involved in this union, it's not the pay raises themselves that I have a problem with. It's the entire contract and all of the other giveaways in that contract. The only way we can, repeated over and over and over again by every council member, we cannot negotiate a contract.
Correct.
Our only tool to voice our disapproval is to either fund it or not fund it. Because of all the other items, excluding the pay raises, that's the only tool available to us. I will not be voting to approve the funding this particular contract as it stands.
Can you identify which items you might be talking about?
No, I don't want to interfere, but with the negotiations. That's up to the mayor. He has all the lists of all the new stuff. It's been voiced before.
I mean, I can give a high-level summary
Okay.
again at the next meeting if you want.
Yeah.
Counselor Israel Rivera has his hand up, and then Kelly Curran has her hand up. So Counselor Rivera?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think for me I kind of wanted to hear what some of the points were as to the reasons to deny, just so that I can be informed as to why my fellow counselors are doing this. So in case I want to align myself with the same reasons to deny too as well if I decided to. I think the last meeting at full council, my understanding, one of the sticking points was about not being able to back pay somebody past the fiscal year or something like that. Was that clarified too as well? I think that's one of the reasons why I got sent back. So I think for me, it's like trying to understand the language and some of the reasons that are being brought up, just so that it provides at least a foundational place for at least the mayor to begin whatever negotiations it is that he's gonna have to begin if it gets denied again. But that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if, hopefully it looks like people did get a copy of this from Counselor Bissonnette. I am checking in prior to the Finance Committee meeting this evening to share my position on the above statute. The use of the descriptive term, in quotes, prior, in the statute requires a reading consistent with legislative intent while interpreting the meaning of the usage. Here, absent the term, quote, prior, the statute would clearly limit any retroactive pay to the beginning of the current fiscal year in which the contract was executed. The addition of the word, in quotes, prior to this equation allows the full legislative intent to be that retroactive pay is limited to the fiscal year prior to the fiscal year in which the contract was executed. In this case, fiscal year 2025 began July 1st, 2024. The relevant statute allows retroactive pay to be awarded back to the beginning of the fiscal year 2024, which began July 1st, 2023. Happy to discuss if you have any further questions or concern. And Counselor Bissonnette is online if anybody has any questions for him. And we did go through this, and I believe Counselor Jordan was going to meet with Counselor Bissonnette. I don't know if you had a chance to do that or not.
We didn't. He sent that this afternoon. I'm still studying that issue, but Izzy, I'll call you, but I would just say go back and replay the tape from the last meeting. I went through about 6 different points as to the concerns. This was actually, that's one of the minor points. That's just pointing that out, but fine. Whatever way, Mike and I will continue to have that discussion, and I'm looking into other resources relative to that. The other issues were the different elements of the agreement. I would go back and listen to the 5 or 6 different points that I made, but I'm happy to also make an additional phone call to go over those with you as to the logic around all the different things, the vacation changes, the flex time changes, the longevity changes. I mean, there was a whole list I went through at the last meeting that are well beyond giving people a 2-3% pay raise. That was, nobody has a problem with people getting a 2-3% pay raise. It's all of this other stuff that a number of us have real concerns about, and those are expensive items, well beyond 2 to 3%.
And I think that is where it could be taken up with the full council, because obviously the full council isn't listening in on this meeting tonight. And the thing that also concerns me, I have never heard these items of concern with city councilors for the police department or the fire department. There's certainly comp time, there's certainly out-of-duty pay, there's certainly when they leave, when they retire, they get buybacks. I never hear anybody deny their contract, so I'm just, I would prefer that 13 people of the city council take this up next Tuesday without a recommendation from the city finance department. And I see that Council Rivera has his hand up, and Kelly Curran, would you like to speak on this? Your hand's up as well, if you want to go first.
Yeah, thank you. I know Attorney Dupre talked about it at the last meeting, but I thought it might be helpful for you to hear from me about some of those concerns, Councilor Jordan, that you flagged. So we had a couple people leave that union because of the time. They felt there wasn't enough vacation time, and there's also, recruitment problems when we don't have competitive benefits. So we didn't, and we wanted it to align more with Schedule A. As you know, the work we're doing in the systems, every group has a different set of rules, and not to get into all the technical pieces, but it becomes very difficult to have all these different records and track them accurately. So we were trying to align it more to, I would love all of them to be aligned. Other thing with flex time, it's happening anyways. A lot of departments, whether department heads or professional positions, need to go attend meetings, and they often will come in later the next day or maybe leave early on another day. And so this way we track it, and we're more aware of hours being used or not. So it's better for us to track it than to have people make up their own. And there was another item. Used to be able to buy back any vacation time you didn't use, and they gave that up this negotiation. So it's saving a significant amount of money for the city now. They're not going to be able to buy back their vacation time that they don't use. We're encouraging people to use their time and have a work-life balance. I don't know if I hit all of the items. Was there another one?
Well, there was longevity, but the point, if you'll recall, on Schedule A, there was a significant contingent of the council that had real concerns about the changes to the vacation policy on Schedule A. So we didn't want, there was a number of us that didn't want that. We thought that was a giveaway. And to say we're now going to use that as the reason to give it away to even more people is just doubling down on a very expensive vacation giveaway. Yeah, my general position is I'm very concerned that the leadership of the city has created a construct where there's so much time off that it's just so out of touch with the average citizen of this city, where you're getting 13 paid holidays. The mayor gives all these extra days off. The day after Thanksgiving, the day before, the this, the that. I mean, there's all these extra giveaway days. There's all this added vacation, the give away an extra 2 weeks if the mayor wants to give it to somebody that comes in new, and we think this, so now you can start, instead of 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks. We had all those discussions a year ago. This contract just doubles down on that to hold more people. I think that should be repealed in Section A. I personally don't think it was even legally approved based on our own council rules at the time. That was highly controversial, as you may recall. So why would I ever vote to give that away to more? We just gave out a historically large tax increase in this city of epic proportions, and people are left, I don't get any benefits that look anything like that. With all of this, it's just preposterous. As I said at the last council meeting, I think it's completely tone deaf. And, it's just something we can't afford, in my opinion.
And if I might, this isn't just somebody like the mayor or a department head. You know what? I'm going to give you this. They have to sit down. I don't know, Russell, maybe you can tell us how long it took you guys to do this contract. This isn't something, I've done this before. It's not something that's done overnight. And I did it with the state, which was even tougher. The mayor can only go so far. He knows his budget, but I don't think it's right to blame the mayor. I think we need to talk to, certainly Russell, who did the negotiations, ask him, my question is, how long did this take you? Was it an easy feat? And anybody who negotiates anything knows it's a give and take. You can ask for something, doesn't mean you get it. There are two factors. There's management and there's union. Just because you have a contract doesn't mean that everything was given to the union. The union had to give up stuff, just like management had to give up stuff. That's the way it works. So Russell, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add, and I see that Councilor Rivera also still has his hand up. So Councilor Rivera, why don't you go first, and then Russell, if the committee has any questions for you. But having done this before, I know it would be nice if it was done in a 2-week period, but I know it never is. Councilor Rivera?
Thank you. I think for me, I'm a little confused as to how this is not in a way negotiated if we're not supposed to negotiate, right? Like, we're literally listing points and looking for things that we want in and out of a contract. How are we not indirectly negotiating? That's the part to me that doesn't make sense. Like, I think here there's two things happening. If we're trying to keep employees, then there's a give and a take within the negotiation process, even though we're not supposed to be negotiating, right? But then the other piece is like, eventually, if we continue this process that we're doing, it feels like we're squandering that particular union. They're struggling. I just heard Kelly say they're struggling, right? And it's so how are we? I don't know. I'm a little confused right now as to, like, some things are being said around where we're not supposed to negotiate, but it kind of sounds like we indirectly are. But then at the same time, we're kind of, I don't know. Thank you. I'm all set. I'm just trying to figure things out through the process.
Yeah.
I'm learning still. 3 years in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Russell, would you like to say something?
Sure. So,
Russell, could you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Sure. I'm labor counsel for the city of Holyoke. So that was a valid point, actually. So the council's role is to vote on the appropriation for the contracts. So do you want to fund the money associated with the contract? Now, the money associated with the contract is obviously the overall cost of the contract, and part of that would include things like vacation time and that type of stuff. But it's really the dollar amount is what you're voting on and the transfers. So that's just that clarification. But as far as the contract itself, I would say this agreement took maybe longer than any other group that we negotiated with. I haven't looked back to check that, but we negotiated for a very, very long time. We had many, many meetings with PSA. There was a lot of hangups. The flex time was one of the major ones because that proposal was originally comp time. So the group was looking for comp time for everybody. City wouldn't agree to it, and at the very end, in order to settle the contract, we ended up with some flex time language, which, as Kelly said, is pretty similar to what already happens anyway. But now there would be a tracking component to it, and it's also clear in the language you can only do it for special projects and that type of thing. It's not like I stayed after to do emails for 20 minutes. It has to be, you went to an evening meeting, you went to an event, something like that. I would say there was quite a bit of give and take on this contract. So, for example, like the personal day language, we didn't really have a lot of language about how they had to be used, when they could be used. So the language, I would say, is improved in that area. The vacation time did change in their favor as far as the amount of vacation time. Longevity, same thing. There was a change. That actually aligns with some of the other longevity amounts in the city. I would say on the wage side, the wages, are 1.5. That's actually a very reasonable, fairly low wage increase for this area at this time. We put in a merit component, which was our proposal on the city side to make sure that if people were really performing well, that they could get larger amounts than listed there. The vacation, I will say that buyback provision that Kelly talked about was costing us a fair amount of money, but it was kind of for a few people. So the idea was, let's do the vacation for everybody and eliminate the benefit that really was only applying to a few people and was getting costly. And it was also hard to budget because you never knew how much vacation time any particular employee was going to save throughout the year and then buy back at the end of the year. So it was kind of a budgeting issue on top of that. I think the evaluation and merit pay system is actually a major improvement compared to what you have now, because the current evaluation wasn't even really usable. So this one has metrics, it's more objective, and you have some pay associated with it, so it really gives more of an incentive for people in the higher level of your organization to perform well. And to reward the people that are doing that. So we put in there's probationary period language that makes it more clear as far as what the probationary period is, and then also when you get promoted or put into another position, what exactly happens in that position. And so we put in a 6-month trial period for if you move to a different position. And then if you're terminated from that position, unless your old job is still vacant, you would be terminated from the city's employment completely. Most of the other language is more, there was a lot of kind of general language that wasn't in your agreement before. It was things like no strike clause. There's some language about discipline in general and how we discipline employees and follow progressive discipline. We put in job posting language, hours of work language, and then some job description language. So it was really kind of standardizing your contract to be more similar to the other contracts. But there definitely was a give and take. I mean, it took forever to settle this contract because of that, because the parties couldn't come to an agreement on a lot of these items. So I would say compared to, maybe police and fire, those took a while, but PSA might have been the longest of all of them. I mean, we met many, many times. I mean, it was over a period of, I don't know, Kelly, if you know, but maybe a year and a half, something like that.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, I just want to point out a couple things that I'm sure that the Finance Committee has read this and who these raises, if you want, are being denied at this point. And that's why I'd prefer to take it to the full city council so that they can hear the arguments that are being made tonight, which are good arguments, but we don't have a full city council here. And some of them is like the assistant director of the Council on Aging, the director of the Council on Aging, the director of economic development, the assistant director, how about the veterans pay investigator, veterans commissioner, veterans vacation buyback. These are animal control officer, director of Wisteriahurst, assistant director of Parks and Rec, and the director of Parks and Rec. These people, we know them, we work really hard. They work really hard. We ask them all the time, we want you to come in for this, we want you to take this tree down, we want you to move this, we want you to do this, make sure the Council on Aging is taken care of. And yet, here we are, we won't even move it to the full council to let them decide what to do for this group of...
Why do you keep saying that?
Excuse me.
Why do you keep saying that?
I'm talking, because this committee, we still have a motion to move it to the full city council.
Okay, I make a motion right now to send it to the full council with a recommendation that it be denied.
No, see, that's what we're talking about.
There's a motion on the floor, made and seconded. You're the one that wanted it to come back in finance.
Excuse me. Anybody else want to say anything? Counselor Murphy-Ramboletti. Anybody else want to say anything that will go back to the same vote? I'm assuming Counselor Carmen is going to do the same thing, so it's a 3-2 to deny this, these raises for these good, hardworking people. Counselor Sullivan.
Point of order. I don't know if it's a point of order, but with all due respect to the chair, we are not denying raises here. Raises are one component of a large contract. I made that clear previously 20 minutes ago, all right? Yet we're sitting here being accused of zeroing in on one aspect of this contract. And that is not what we're doing. We are not denying people raises.
Right,
I
and
really
Oh,
resent.
he's got the floor.
And I really resent that it being portrayed that way. Thank you.
Counselor Jordan.
thank you. You know, I don't like to get into this too much, but I will, because first of all, you've made the statement that I don't know why we won't let the full council vote. We're voting twice now to let the full council vote. We're not trying to keep this in committee. Let the full council vote. The problem is, people don't want to honor the vote of the full council. You all made a motion to reconsider that vote. The vote just didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Now, point number two is, you've made all kinds of statements here about this council has never voted down any other department's contract. That's just not true, as a matter of fact. Go back in history, I personally have voted against other contracts.
Which ones?
I have voted against police contracts in the past. I have voted against fire department contracts in the past. I voted against multiple departments. I probably voted against PSA years ago. I've taken a lot of votes in 30 years here, okay? So the fact of the matter is, this one is one I'm a no on. I don't feel the city can afford this. All these other things, again, if this was come in, get a 2-3% raise, no problem. That's not the issue. It's all these other costs layered in here, all the language giveaways that are going to hamstring future mayors, all this stuff that we exhaustively talked about at the last finance committee. I went through all these different points. I'm not going to reiterate them again here tonight. I just replay the tape. I stated them all at the last council meeting, a whole litany of stuff. This is all way beyond pay raises. This isn't about, as Councilor Sullivan correctly points out, we're not trying to deny anybody pay raises. We're telling management, we cannot afford this, so do better. And they can take it wherever they want to take it. That's up to them. They could send it back and just keep sending it back, or never give them a contract. That's up to them. But nevertheless, that's where we're at, and, let's move forward.
Yep. Counselor Sullivan has a question for Russell.
Russell?
Russell, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just unmuting.
Russell, a couple of times you mentioned forever negotiating this with PSA. Was all of that 18 months or so with PSA, or was it with PSA who then folded into another union and had to start all over again?
No, it was with the same. It was with AFSCME the entire time. They had a representative, Tyrone Housey, was with them, and he was there from the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so I believe the motion on the floor is to deny the, why don't you repeat it, Counselor Jordan, so we can get it right for the record?
Yeah, motion that these 3 items be denied.
All those in favor, roll call vote. Counselor Ocasio? To deny.
To deny, yes.
Counselor Givner?
No.
Counselor Devine, no. Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, for the same vote, we'll bring this back to the City Council on Tuesday. Thank you very much, Russell. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thank you, you too. Item number 10, by Murphy Ramboletti, in an effort to provide clarity for all counselors and the public, ordered that the Law Department provide guidance or a memo that outlines the number of votes required for different items related to finance ordinances, real estate, and other relevant voting topics. Will we take it off the table for discussion?
Could we take
I was just gonna
10
say
through 15 as a
15, yes.
package? That's all basically
Yeah.
the same issue.
Yeah, 10 through 15 as a
Or
package.
14, excuse me.
And I'll read 11 by Councilor President Murphy Ramboletti, order that the Law Department provide a legal opinion on the number of votes required to make transfers from stabilization fund. And then item number 12, it's a copy from Assistant City Solicitor Michael Bissonette, legal opinion regarding financial transfer. Item 13, from Attorney Jane Mantaleski, updated stabilization legal opinion. Item 14, it's a copy from Assistant City Solicitor Jane Mantaleski, legal opinion regarding city council meetings. So there's a motion to take all of those up at the same time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Councilor Murphy Ramboletti, do you want to start, or do you want us to start? And we have all the information here. It was was
Yeah,
given
I'm
to us.
not gonna add much.
Okay,
I don't have a great track record in the last week, so I will just let you guys discuss. I'm just looking for some clarity on things. So,
okay,
and
thank-
this isn't new for any of us.
Right.
I've had separate conversations with folks, and conversations with the law department, conversations with the mayor. So, yeah, I'll just let you guys get into it.
thank you, Madam President. I think that we do have the information. I'm thrilled the way it was put into a chart as to how the votes go and things like that. So I don't know if our committee has had an opportunity to look over that. I did, and I'm ready to hear a motion just to receive these items.
Second.
Questions, anybody, or?
Well, yes, I would say it's probably best to table these at this point. Receive whatever. I mean, that's fine. We could do either. This is their opinion. I will only say that we are having another meeting on the 21st to discuss it among various aspects of the leadership.
Is this finance, the 21st? Who's it?
This is in the mayor's office. Myself, the law department, the president. We had met with DOR relative to two components of this. The only thing that's really at basically the Reader's Digest of this is what's in controversy is the applicability. We have a charter, Section 49, which says that any transfers from appropriated money from one purpose to another requires the approval of the mayor and 2/3 of the council. And two components of this is saying that various state laws preempt our charter, so that it's now, in the opinion of the law department, only a majority vote for transfers in the last 2 months of the year and relative to special stabilization funds. Some of us disagree with that interpretation. The law department's alleging preemption. I did not hear that from the DOR, and they said essentially it's subject to your local interpretation, and we're working through what that is and thinking that through together. There's another meeting on that topic coming up on the 21st, so I would say we should for now table this. Let's see what comes of that meeting, and then, just continue the dialogue.
If I could make a suggestion, I think it's great that people are meeting and, to finalize this type of thing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items here. My suggestion would be to receive and send it back to the city council, full city council, and then once your meeting takes place, if you see, and if everyone in that meeting comes to an agreement that one of these should have been changed, at that point, perhaps you could change it. And that way, this is off the table.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that too. I mean, it is there.
Counselor Murphy Ramboletti has her hand up, so I wanted to see what she had to say.
Sure.
It's just, I'm trying to save us finding another finance committee meeting that we can meet on this if you guys are going to be meeting already.
That's
If
fine.
we receive it, then you guys can change.
You just want to
whatever.
clean it off the
Yeah.
jacket. That's fine too.
Counselor Murphy Ramboletti?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I get the need to just clear things from the jacket, which is fine. If it's just receiving it and I don't anticipate that after our meeting on the 21st, we're gonna have everything ready to go and come to some decision. But that being said, I'm fine with that. And I don't know, I was also okay with tabling it too. So, I'll defer to the chair. I'm open to whatever.
Either way, if we receive this, okay, and we have the information that was given to us, we can do that, or we can table it, and I'm not sure when we'll have another meeting on these specific items, or we can let you people meet, which I think is a wonderful idea. You're going to meet separately, and then if there's changes to be made to any of these items, if you all agree that there's some changes that need to be made, then go through each one of these, like say it was the change from stabilization legal opinion from Attorney Mantaleski. Say you guys decided that you needed to change this particular opinion, then you would bring it back to the Finance Committee, and then we'd work that instead of just leaving these hanging there, doing nothing, quite frankly. Let you guys work the magic.
Honestly, whatever you want to do is fine with me either way, because we didn't request these opinions. By us receiving, these came from the mayor's office that had requested some of these. The other thing I would say is, and I know the president's trying to get guidance too, but what's prompted some of these legal opinions was not a request from the council. The council never specifically, I don't believe, asked for
Well, Murphy Ramboletti did a couple of them.
Okay.
He did request a couple of them.
And the other point I would make is, it doesn't mean that we agree. By receiving these doesn't mean we necessarily agree with the opinions, right?
Right.
And the council's ultimately, I'll give the old Joe McGivern adage, opinions are opinions. And the council thanks you for your opinions, but we do what we think is right. And, that's an old adage. That isn't necessarily binding on us either. So I would put that out there.
The other thing is to do nothing with these until after we hear back, after your meeting on the 21st.
Whatever you prefer. I
Um,
don't.
Counselor Givner, do you have an opinion, or Counselor Ocasio, do you have an opinion on what we should do with these?
I think that to just wait, don't do nothing with this right now, and just wait to hear from
That meeting?
that meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
I was fine with just receiving it.
I'm fine with receiving it.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Then why don't I hear a motion that we receive it?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then we would instruct I'm not sure what you're calling yourselves, the committee that's meeting with the mayor.
Bunch of concerned citizens.
Okay, that are meeting with the mayor, that they will get back in the, whether it's to file orders,
Yeah.
whether it's to file opinions, communicate with the city council on where you are on the 21st. Okay, does that
Okay.
sound good?
That sounds fine.
All right, do I hear the magic motion to
To adjourn.
adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, wait a minute, Counselor Anderson Counselor, you have your hand up, Jeffrey.
Yeah, just a technical question. So usually with motions to receive, it's something the committee's taking in and kind of archiving so it stays in the committee. But two of these items are orders asking for something, so I didn't know if you meant to have those like complied with.
Okay,
or
I
tabled.
see what you're saying. So item 10 and 11 would be complied with. That's the ones from Council Murphy Ramboletti. You see that on item 10 and 11? Those would be complied with.
I don't like that lingo. I think we should just stay with,
Yeah,
just
we
stay
already
with
received it.
receive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. We're going to just receive it.
Sure, of course.
Okay. So do I
Motion
hear a
to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Okay, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you Tuesday. Stay warm. Yeah, it's going to be cold again.